This past month, I spent quite a bit of time with the Ringconn Generation 2, and I have some thoughts. So back in November last year, I actually bought the first generation Ringconn smart ring and actually used it quite a bit. It was my first smart ring, and I actually tested it out and loved everything about it. And I decided to test the waters, I guess, and try out the Ultra Human Ring Air, and I really enjoyed that for its health insights and deep analytics. But Ringconn then announced the Generation 2 and also launched their Kickstarter that has now surpassed their $50,000 goal by 8,515% with nearly 18,000 backers. So needless to say, people are really excited about this ring. And speaking of goals, my goal is at 100,000 subscribers one day. My short goal right now is 50,000. We're currently at 41,000, and hopefully at some point throughout this video you decide to join the fam and subscribe to the channel. Now there is one feature that has kept this ring on my finger over all the other smart rings out there, but before we get into it, let's run down some of the features and specs of the Ringconn Gen 2. First off, the build. It's super lightweight and really thin, weighing in at just 2 grams, 2 millimeters thin, and 6.8 millimeters wide. When comparing it to the first generation Ringconn smart ring, it's pretty much better than it in every category. Physically, it's thinner, it's lighter, and then also I feel like the squircle design is a little bit more subdued with Generation 2. The first generation felt like it was more square than round, and also the thickness kind of got, annoying over time. You could feel it in between your fingers when you're, going throughout your day. So they've made huge improvements physically, and the build quality on this one is much better. It's super, super light. I really don't even notice it on my finger, just like a normal ring. For comparison, the other big players in the smart ring space are Aura, Ultra Human, and Samsung with their new smart ring, and their specs are as follows. So the Aura ring has a width of 7.9 millimeters, a thickness of 2.5 millimeters, and a weight range between 4 and 6 grams depending on what size ring you get. The Ultra Human Ring Air has a width of 8.1 millimeters, a thickness of 2.45 to 2.8 millimeters, and a weight of 2.4 to 3.6 grams, and once again depending on what size ring you get. And the Samsung smart ring has a width of 7 millimeters, a thickness of 2.6 millimeters, and a weight range of 2.3 to 3 grams. The Health Insights have experienced a nice upgrade to the PPG sensors for heart rate, so heart rate variability, blood oxygen, and just general heart rate are a little bit more accurate and better. You also get some new sports performance insights, which are pretty much workouts, so you get indoor, outdoor walking and running, and also now cycling. And I imagine, of course, more will be added over time. One of the more important metrics to me is, of course, sleep tracking. So it evaluates your sleep stages, your quality of breathing, your overall efficiency, a lot of the things that you would come to expect from any smart ring or wearable device out there. But they do a really good job of giving you all the charts and graphs and more insights as to how you can improve your quality of sleep. One buzzword or feature that's being added to a lot of these smart rings and wearables like the Apple Watch that was just announced a week ago is sleep apnea tracking. And of course the Ringconn Generation 2 has that as well. Each night you actually have to go ahead and start a comprehensive assessment before you decide to go to sleep, so the ring knows to monitor for abnormalities. Once you wake up, you'll be presented with all the information telling you how many sleep apnea events you were detected, and also provide you with some general health advice like maintaining consistent sleep schedules and not drinking coffee too late in the day, and also of course maintaining regular exercise, so that way you can improve your sleep quality. Being that I actually live with sleep apnea and I can't have a quality night's sleep without my CPAP machine, I definitely recommend going to the hospital, going to a doctor, and doing an actual sleep study if you have some abnormalities detected and if it says that you have more sleep apnea events than what you should be having. Good sleep impacts your life and health and recovery in so many ways. If your sleep apnea goes untreated, you can get hypertension, diabetes, and have trouble with weight loss and experience health defects and a lot of issues with your heart. So make sure you get that nipped in the bud and you get the appropriate equipment if you do have sleep apnea and actually take care of yourself. The application itself is really modern and easy to use on both Android and iOS. I like the layout and the colors that they use. They're really readable and pleasing to the eye. And at the top, you get this really cool diamond chart that shows your wellness balance at a glance. It shows your yesterday and also overlap with the last 7 days, so you get to see a trend. And if you need to pick it up in your sleep, your activity, or your stress management, and of course if your vital signs need attention. Tapping on it gives you more specifics like your scores for each category, as well as improbable indicators, insights, and exercise suggestions. There's actually also a section of the app that I currently don't have access to, and I never will because I'm not a woman, and this actually gives you access for monitoring your menstrual forecast, so that way you can know when your period is going to be coming on. This actually may be a pretty good gift from my wife, or maybe yours as well, or your mother-in-law, your mom, your aunt, or any of the women in your life. This could be a pretty good gift for them. Overall, this is a really clean app with a nice minimal tile layout up front, and of course you can expand that for more in-depth information. That's one thing that I do appreciate about this app versus a lot of the other ones out there. It Gives you the charts and graphs and information that you need, but of course it doesn't feel intimidating when you open it up. It's not just, you're not inundated with a ton of information, but if you choose, you can tap on and expand and get more info. I actually made a video some months ago about smart rings and where I see them going and comparing them to smart watches. In my opinion, I actually think that smart rings are a lot better when it comes to health tracking due to their small, discrete nature and longer battery life. Of course, using a watch is good for, a wider range of activities, and the screen interfaces just provides more information and more usability into different scenarios. Also, no matter how much you dress it up for, special occasions, sometimes a classic watch is just better. So this ring is the lightest and thinnest on the market, while leading and probably the most important category, the one that I mentioned earlier is the reason why I keep coming back to this ring: battery life. This is the one feature that literally keeps this ring on my finger longer than any other, especially when you accompany it with the quick charging case. The Ringconn Gen 2 provides an estimated 10 to 12 days on a single charge. So best case scenario, it's doubling the battery life of competitors, and worst case scenario, you're still getting 4 extra days better than the competition. And the battery life really makes all of the other rings out there feel like Generation 1 products, and the Ringconn is really a step ahead. So this is PS5 versus PS4. With all that said though, the Ringconn Gen 2 isn't perfect. Its competitor in the Ultra-Human Ring Air provides much more in-depth analytics and gives more useful insights like, circadian rhythm, caffeine consumption windows, estimated heart age, and I feel like I get an email every other week with some new metric popping up that they're tracking. The good news is a lot of the areas for improvement when it comes to the Ringconn Gen 2 lie in the software. And I am no scientist, but I feel like all these rings have a lot of the same sensors, and it just comes down to the algorithms needed to track different metrics and aspects of your health with those sensors. Ringconn Gen 2 has the fundamentals down though, with great design, amazing battery life, and of course quick charging, and probably the most important feature or aspect of this ring is that there are no subscription fees. If you want to check out one of these rings for yourself, the pre-orders have started on their website, and at the time of filming this, the Kickstarter is still accepting late backers at a discounted price. They have 3 colors with one on the way in royal gold, matte black, and of course the one that I use, the futurist silver, and the one that's coming soon is the rose gold. Like I said earlier, I actually own the first generation Ringconn, and I got that one in the matte black, and it has a couple scratches on it over the past several months. So I don't know if their coating is different or the process is improved, but I would recommend the futurist silver because so far it's held up a little bit better, but time will tell. For reference, I'm about 6'8", I'm a larger guy, and my ring size is 14. So 72 millimeters is kind of just perfect. It's a sweet spot for me. Now, I know a lot of people have decided to skip the Apple Watch Ultra this year because there have been no real updates outside of the color change. So this may actually be a good time for you to check out a smart ring. It may be worth seeing if you could put your watch down for a minute, or supplement some of that use of your watch with a smart ring. Because like I said, tracking sleep with the watch is kind of out of the question for me. Having a big watch on your wrist is a bit much for when you're sleeping, at least for me. I don't like too much on me when I'm sleeping, but maybe that's too much information. But yeah, it's been a pleasure as usual. Thank you for watching. If you guys like this content and want to see much more like it, feel free to hit subscribe, comment, like, share, all the YouTube stuff. But yeah, until next time guys, stay fresh. Peace.